Alright, y'all, so let's talk about this movie called Viking Wolf. I'll give us this backstory about these Vikings that raided this village or whatever, the village full of monks. And they went to go down in this cave and they thought they was gonna find like gold and silver, and they ended up murking the monks because the monks are telling them not to go in the cave. And they find this secret door that was locked, so they unlocked the door, but like I said, there was no gold or silver. It ends up being this wolf that's in there. So the guy has the wolf in his arms. Now I want to explain this. The wolf did exactly nothing until they got it to the boat. Then all of a sudden, the wolf ended up killing all the Vikings. Why wouldn't the wolf have done that the moment they just opened the door? But anyway, we get to 1,000 years later. We're in this town called Nybo. We see this family now. This lady named Liv, she's like part of the police academy. She's been dealing with this guy by the name of Arthur now. And then we have Talia, is the daughter, and her sister was named Courtney, but she's deaf, you know what I'm saying? So they gotta use sign language and stuff like that. So while Arthur's not looking, Talia ends up sneaking a six-pack out the refrigerator and putting it in her backpack because she gets a text from this dude by the name of Jonah, telling her to come meet her at the spot. So basically, she ends up sneaking out and meeting up with Jonah. Now, we found out that Arthur's not really her biological father. He's a stepdad. And we found out her real father passed away. So she meets up with Jonah and they meet at this spot called The Bay. But it's basically like a waterfront near this beach or whatever. There's a bunch of other kids there just chilling, you know what I'm saying, doing casual shit. Now, she's basically talking to Jonah. Jonah's showing her around. Then this girl by the name of Ellen pulls Jonah away from him so they could talk. Now, at this point, they were talking and Talia said she had killed somebody. And I was like, is this playful banter? She's just trying to be cool, or did she actually kill somebody? So anyway, we get this scene later on while Talia's just walking around the forest drinking and whatnot, and then she ends up seeing Jonah and Aaron talking to each other. Who knows what they was talking about? But Talia turns her back for 1 minute. All of a sudden, she hears screaming. She looks back, and she sees Ellen on the ground just bleeding and shit. We like, where the fuck is Jonah at? She goes down to check on Ellen. Meanwhile, something sneaks out of the forest and ends up snatching up Ellen. I'm like, oh shit. So you're thinking it's Jonah, right? Nah, Jonah's on the other side with rocks. He's got like blood all over him. So we think to ourselves, what the fuck just snatched up Ellen? Later on, her mom shows up to the scene. Talia's mom, Liv. And she's with her partner, Roy, and like a bunch of other cops. They try to get some information on the situation, but bottom line is, Jonah's traumatized, Talia's traumatized, and nobody knows where Ellen is. Next day, they start asking the kids questions, but they don't really know nothing. They don't really give a whole lot of information. But back when they were digging for evidence and whatnot, they found a bloody phone. And Liv ends up finding this wolf claw. But the thing is, this claw is bigger than the average size wolf claw. So later on, Talia is like walking through the woods or whatever like that. She's having all these visions. And she's having visions of actually Aaron. Talking about, you should have saved me. You had a chance to save me. So now we're thinking to ourselves, is she dead? Well, apparently so, because they finally found the body. But here's the crazy thing. She had these marks on her face. Her arm was torn off. And her body was pretty much, just separated in half. Like, it was like ridiculous marks on her. So they get this guy by the name of William. He's like a veterinarian and whatnot. He's inspecting the incisions like a coroner, right? But the thing is, he says these marks could not be done by a regular sized wolf. Now, he's intent with saying wolves don't kill humans. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's bullshit. Because if it was a tribe of niggas, they would fuck somebody up. So later on, when Liv goes back to her office to do some more investigating, this old man comes out the blue. He heard the background information and whatnot. And he tells Liv, like, you might be messing with a werewolf or something like that. Now, obviously, she ain't gonna believe this shit. He's like, he's been tracking this thing for years. Goes back to Viking days and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, anybody else listening to that, but like, yeah, okay, whatever. But as he's leaving, he ends up giving her a silver bullet. And he sneaks a box of silver bullets in one of her coats as he's walking out the door. So we get this situation where Taya's in school and then she starts having these visions again. And then she starts hearing loud sounds, but they're really not loud sounds. It's like people just writing on paper. But her ears are getting like overly sensitive to the simplest things. So you're like, Then she ends up going into the bathroom. She's hearing noises and she's having visions of Aaron again. Ellen's sitting down in the toilet like, why could you save me? Why could you save me? But it was all visions. There was nobody there. So now when it comes to Liv, with the claw that they have, the veterinarian, they're finally able to get a hunting party together and they're going out in the woods. So they go in the woods, they end up finding another body. They're like, oh shit. Then they go to another spot and they see this cave. So with the hunting party, you got two people, sitting by the body just in case anybody comes to give them the information. And two other guys, including Roy, are standing outside the cave while Liv goes investigate inside the cave. She's climbing on this ladder. This ladder is damn near fucked up. She falls in this little spot and then she sees another body down there. While this is going down, the two people that are watching the other body on the outside here growling like, "Rrr." I'm like, oh shit. Something ends up attacking them. They get done deal. Then all of a sudden, the people outside the cave are getting done deal. But as she's trying to climb back up, there's the werewolf staring her dead in her face. She's like falling back into the cave. The werewolf is basically hunting his prey slow. She's shooting with regular bullets and ain't doing shit. Then she pulls out a silver bullet, bang off on him, and all of a sudden, the place goes black. Next thing we know, she wakes up in the hospital. She's got like a broken arm. We're like, how the fuck did she get out of there? Then we find out she actually did kill the wolf. But let me ask this question. If everybody else was done deal, she was the only one to survive and she had a broken arm, how the fuck did she climb back out of the ladder to get out of the cave? Well, anyway. We found out everybody from the hunting squad was done deal dead as shit with the exception of Liv, obviously with the broken arm. And Roy actually had a concussion. He was still managed to live, but he's in a coma right now. So now with Talia, the situation that took place was Aaron was killed. You know what I'm saying? Jonah had blood on him or whatever. But it didn't look like Talia was attacked. But then we found out she's got this mark on her shoulder. It was like a scrape or whatever, but it looked like it was starting to get more infected. So it turns out before the hunting crew scene, Talia had spazzed out and she went into the forest. And she was just laying in the grass crying, trying to figure out things. So I'm thinking to myself, is Talia the werewolf? But it's too early for speculation. So after everything went down, Liv went back home with Arthur or whatever. And Courtney was still in her room. And you're thinking to yourself, where the fuck is Talia at the whole time? Turns out Talia pops up at Courtney's window. Now, Courtney ends up getting her back at the house, but the thing is, Talia's sitting out there with just a t-shirt on. The fuck was she doing outside with just no clothes? So apparently, Courtney thought that Talia was sleepwalking again or whatever like that, because apparently that's what she does. And then she basically says, I'll take care of you. I'm like, okay. So right up to this point, you're thinking to yourself, Talia's the fucking werewolf. But this is before we found out Liv actually killed the werewolf and they had it inspected. Now, what William was doing is inspecting on the wolf or whatever like that. It turns out that he finds out there's like 8 different bullets in him, but the thing is, the only bullet that actually killed him was a silver bullet. So basically, she's starting to believe, and now she's going to go talk to the old man. Now, the old man tells him something about you got to stop the bloodline, and if you kill the main one, it's done, indicating that there might be more than one werewolf out there. So they're thinking to themselves, it's possibly more than one right now. But technically, that's not really a possibility just yet. Then Talia gets a call from Jonas or whatever like that, come meet him somewhere. So she sneaks out the house and meets up with Jonah, and they're chilling at this place called The Lookout. So it seems like some type of little romantic scene or whatever like that. They end up kissing. But then Jonah's dad calls him, so he walks away for a second so he can talk to the dad, letting him know that he's okay and whatnot. But really, he's not about to be. But while this is going on, Talia's like staring at the moon, and all of a sudden she starts feeling funny. Then all of a sudden she starts growing fangs and turns around and attacks Jonas. Next day, Liv's on the scene, and we find out Jonas is dead as shit. And the marks left on his body were exactly like the one on Helen's body, except they were a little bit smaller. At first, we didn't think he was officially dead until Talia ended up throwing up a finger. I was like, oh shit. So at this point, Talia thinks she's a menace to society, so she's ready to get the fuck up out of here. She ends up getting on this bus, basically to head out of town. While this is going down, we see this scene at the hospital with Roy. He's still in a coma or whatever. Somebody checks on him and turns out he's got this same mark on his shoulder that's infected. Is that the symbol to be transferring powers? Bottom line, whoever's there ends up pulling the plug on him. Is like, yo, you gotta get done deal. I got a feeling it was the old man. So how'd the old man know Roy was there in a coma? Because Liv told him about the situation that happened. Now while Talia's on the bus, all of a sudden the full moon pops out again. And then she starts going through transformations. And now she's become a full-fledged werewolf out here causing ruckus, killing niggas off the bus. Liv gets the call, she goes investigating. Now she's going down this tunnel to where the bus is, right? We see some people running like, yo, run, it's a monster. I'm thinking to myself, does she have a conscience? Did she just decide not to kill these other motherfuckers? They should have all just been done deal dead as shit. So anyway, she goes to the bus and she finds blood and corpses and all this other stuff. And then she finds Talia's bracelet that she used to wear around her wrist. So just based off that, she could automatically assume that her daughter Talia is a werewolf. It's like, all the people on this fucking bus, and just because she found some type of bracelet, she just assumes automatically that her daughter's a werewolf. Which is true, but how the fuck would she know that? So we get to the scene back at the house where Arthur is like, doing stuff. He's like watching after the dog. The dog's crying for some reason. And then we see Courtney in the living room just like drawing, like, just doing doodles and whatnot. And all of a sudden she sees a fucking werewolf right in front of her face, but it's actually Talia. Now it seems at the back, Courtney doesn't really know exactly if it's Talia or not. And then they're like, wait a minute. Why would she have said, we'll always take care of you, back then? I was just like, did she not know something was up? And all of a sudden Arthur comes in there and tries to fight it off, hits it with like a lamp or whatever, a shade. Then electrocutes it with the shade, but obviously they ain't gonna do shit. It just holds it off for a little bit. Arthur and Courtney get in the car and they dip the fuck out. But apparently while Arthur's driving, he had this cut on his arm or whatever like that. He ends up passing out because of blood loss and running into a tree. Or like one of them poles in a bridge or whatever like that. And it happens right in front of this little bar spot. And then like all these people are coming out the bar like, hey, yo, what the fuck happened over there? But it turns out Talia was right hot on their trail. So Arthur tells Courtney, you gotta get up out of here, run. Then Talia sees all the people coming out the watering hole or whatever like that. And then she starts murking everybody. Courtney's just like walking through this carnage. Then Liv gets the call about niggas getting murdered in front of the bar or whatever like that. She's got William outside. And she's saying she don't know whether she can kill her daughter. I don't know if I can shoot her. William's like, look, I got a bunch of tranquilizers here. They're about as powerful to stop that elephant. You know what I'm saying? We'll tranquilize her and calm her down. So we get the scene at the Talia that murked everybody. Courtney goes face to face with her. And then she tells her, I'll still look after you. I'll make sure you're good, sis. While they staring at each other, Liv and William finally get to the scene. William ends up shooting Talia with the tranquilizer. And then all three of them run into this like abandoned warehouse or whatever like that. And they're trying to hold off Talia to make sure she don't get in. Then all of a sudden this truck comes out of nowhere and rams straight into that shit when he tried to hit the werewolf. Turns out it was the old man. Old man crashed straight into the door, but he's injured badly. As he's falling out the car, Talia is staring him dead in his face. You already know what time it is. The old man got finished off. Now Liv is laid out, William is stretched out on this little board thing, and Courtney's high behind this desk. All of a sudden, the werewolf, Talia, finally gets into this room. Liv ends up putting her arm up so that Talia doesn't bite her. Now, how is she doing this? Now, the thing is, she had that broken arm, remember? She had this big-ass cast. Now, the wolf is basically biting into the cast. Now, while all this is going down, there's a tranquilizer dart that's still laying on the ground. William's trying to reach for it. He can't get it. Courtney ends up getting the tranquilizer dart and stabbing her own sister in the neck with it. And now she's passed out. So what the old man had told them back at the cabin was like, basically, if the curse doesn't, wear off or it's too long, then it'll last forever. So we thought Talia was going to turn back in the morning, but apparently that did not happen. They got the werewolf, or Talia, stretched out on this corner table. Liv ends up putting a silver bullet in the gun, and she's got to make the hard decision of whether she wants to end her daughter's life or not. She puts the gun to it and everything goes black. Next thing we see is Liv coming from the police station, whatever like that. She goes back to the house and she's just sitting there stressing. Last thing we see is a picture of Talia, and she puts a silver bullet next to the picture. And that's the end of the movie, so now I got some questions. Did she really finish off Talia? She done deal daddy shit? Did Liv, or more specifically Courtney, know that her sister was a werewolf the entire time anyway? Let's just say for the sake of argument, she didn't know she was a werewolf, and she got the powers based off the original werewolf that attacked Ellen and Jonah. When she said she killed somebody in the past, why would she have done that, and what purpose would it have done to even do this? You know what I'm saying? She seemed like a pretty innocent girl from the beginning of the movie. Viking Wolf on Netflix. Check it out.